Hello, intrepid viewers. Dr. Lena coming to you from Australia. And isn't it amazing to have a celebration of the blue wave? Oh, at last, the tide is starting to turn. There's a long way to go, but how fantastic were those results everywhere? New Jersey, Virginia, Georgia. Wow, just wow. And as I understand it, these special elections are ones where there's notoriously low turnout, etc., etc. It must have put the wind up the GOP. For the Yeti himself, it's just personal. It's just about me. It's all about me. But the GOP have to start realizing, are they going to go down with him? Or are they going to sort of come back to something that's a semblance, just a touchstone of democracy, because they're so far out on a limb. But Mamdani is great win, because Cuomo, of course, had big bucks behind him. And what I think all these special elections show is people are so angry and so disaffected that you can't just bribe them like normal. Not that the people are individually bribed, I mean the collective of the GOP. I mean, it's so exciting. It's full on, it's fabulous. The world is celebrating with you. So we will get into the nitty-gritty of what this all means down the track, but let's just take a few days to absorb the good news. Right. Now, Nancy Pelosi, um, I have a complex relationship, as I'm sure most of you do, with Nancy Pelosi, as if an Australian tarot reader has any relationship with Nancy Pelosi, but you get what I mean. Another one who stayed on too long. However, she did say this week, he is just evil. She just called it out. He's the most vile man to walk the earth, and he's evil, evil, evil. He got three evils from Nancy. And then other people are starting to stand up and actually call out the madness. I defy anyone, MAGA, GOP, I would actually challenge them to sit through a Trump speech and not squirm. I've only been able to digest the 60 Minutes interview in bite-sized pieces because it's such rubbish. It's like being asked to listen to your demented uncle's war stories for the 2000th time when he can't even get the dates straight anymore, or the countries, or the people, or anything. He's actually all on his own losing it now. But anyway, I wanted to share with you Jon Stewart. I'm very equivocal about Jon Stewart too. It's like Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, no. Tucker Carlson, yes, mainly no. Jon Stewart, he can do some good stuff and then other stuff. However, he did bring out a very salient point, and that was if we stopped subsidizing big oil and big pharma, there would be money to pay off the deficit. Hello. If Mamdani says it, he's a rampant, socialist stroke communist. So it's important that people like Jon Stewart are saying it as well. It's the obvious way forward. The country is in dire pain with this deficit. The mantra from the Dems should simply be share the pain, tax the rich. And I just want to be clear before I move on too, when I talk about or bitch about the rich, I'm not talking about the middle class who might be comfortable and so forth and have a good stock portfolio. I'm talking about the uber rich, these nasty tech boys who can't count their billions. And I was just saying on Hogarth's channel, if you actually see them interviewed, Peter Thiel, Curtis Yarvin, Russell Vogt, they've all been emotionally arrested around the age of 16, 17. They're a bit more mature than Trump, but not a lot. And when they started to become famous and successful, they believed their own rap, and they're not smart guys. They're lucky guys. They're lucky guys. That's all. Okay. So let's kick off here. Um, Walmart. Now, in Australia, we've got a duopoly. We've got two huge supermarket chains, and that's bad enough. But you guys have got Walmart, right? One family. Sorry, just not right. Anyway, they get 26.4% of their revenue from SNAP recipients. So their obscene profits are going down. I'm not saying I feel sorry for Walmart, but I hope this drives them. And so my question is, will the big businesses, I think some of them have approached him before, they are in touch with him and so forth, but they end up caving. So this is affecting everything across retail as well, the tariffs, I mean, not just the shutdown. People stop spending. So is big business starting starting to feel the diarrhea coming on about the tariffs, and will they say or do anything? Let's have a look. I'm using my One World Tarot and a couple of Russian cards. Will big business start standing up to the megalomaniacal monster? All right, let's have a look. They're talking about it. They're talking about it. Yes. And a couple of these. How amusing. I'll cover that because of YouTube till I get to it. Right. Okay. They've realised they have got a big stick, and I think they need to start threatening the GOP generally with the withdrawal of donations. You know, the big donor money from the conservative commercial industries. They've got more power. They've given their power away to him because they thought tax breaks. We love tax breaks, right? Yeah, they're not deep. Okay. They need to reclaim their power. They are talking because so far what's happened in the American tradition of individualism, you've had Zuckerberg go in on his own and get a deal. You've had Tim Cook, Apple, go in on his own and get a deal. And they haven't been acting collectively. They've been acting individually. Now, Walmart and other, household brand names are getting together to make a plan because they're strategizing. Couldn't be clearer. And down to one pentacle. What this is symbolically saying, this card, is our profits with these tariffs and the shutdown are going to dwindle if we do not act. Now, the Russian cards. I'd like to think this was the Yeti, alone in a precarious position at the top. And to a certain extent, it is. Um, but I don't think it's just him. I think this is more the Scott Bessant vibe. Those who have defended these ridiculous economic things, it doesn't matter if you're left, centre, right, Everyone in the world, except for three people, thinks it's a bad idea. But those three people work for him. Right? And Peter Navarro, who even quotes his own book under a fake name, I think this is them going. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, that's my new contribution out here. Now, the last one, I have to be careful how I reveal it. Can you see that? These Russian cards. It's the hangman. Things are suspended because with the shutdown, things are literally suspended. And now air traffic controllers and so who are not getting paid. It's a very stressful job, very, very stressful, not getting paid. The figure I heard on Hogarth's channel today was 10% of flights expect to be cancelled or are cancelled. That will only grow. Um, my advice to most people, and let me know how you feel about this. If I was in the US and normally flew somewhere for Thanksgiving or Christmas, I'd be cancelling it this year in terms of flights. I think it would be so stressful, even if the shutdown ended. And it's not ending soon because they actually don't have an exit ramp, right? They don't have an exit ramp. So you've got Moses Mike on every opportunity just lying outright. And I think he's going to go soon. Won't be long. Won't be long for Moses Mike because it's shuffling chairs on the Titanic time, right? Some other unfortunate will get the job as speaker. Now, while I'm gathering my thoughts for the next question, uh, Caroline Levitt, Bride of Chucky, I didn't know that her husband is 60. She's 28 and he's 60. That explains a lot in terms of daddy issues, doesn't it? You know. Meanwhile, the very mysterious Merry Widow, Erica Kirk. It's funny. Do you guys remember the original sitcom Roseanne? This was back in the 80s or 90s or whatever, before Roseanne Barr went to the dark side and stuff, and went off her meds and went crazy for entertainment purposes only. It was such a good show about the American working class. And it was done with love and humour. And it was so fantastic. But I remember one of the immortal lines from Roseanne was, Dan, if you die, I want to grieve in Tahiti. That's Erica Kirk. That's Erica Kirk. Okay, so let's have a look here. Now, I want to have a look because remember, I said months ago, don't hold your breath for the shutdown. I said months ago, the AI bubble's going to burst. And now these tech bros are starting to fight with each other. I want to know if that's going to get worse because whereas the economy is based on actual facts, what goes in, what comes out, what gets traded for goods and services, the numbers are there. The stock market is a casino that runs, as we know, on optimism and great ideas. It's a futures market, essentially, in the sense of what might happen, what will happen. And one of the tech bros um, has sold a huge amount of stock. And that goes against the grain because they're all inflated because AI isn't even on stream yet. We have access to it in little ways, but it's not even here yet. So they're furious. They're furious. So let's have a look at the stock market. Just go there. Bearing in mind, it does not resemble the economy. Let's have a look. And then I want to see about MAGA? The stock market. Whoa. I think this means the big players are starting to look overseas. Right. Okay. They're feeling defensive after this guy. Sorry, I can't remember his name. He's not one of them big three, but he's up there. He has billions to play with. They're feeling really defensive and angry that he did this, right? Because once one does, more does, right. What's at the root of this issue? Happy days. The party will never end. And they're on board with the GOP, who is the I don't care if you die party. Didn't matter who was in power, they were rocking it, right? And I'm not just talking tech, but the whole, all the big, big, big businesses. Right? But now, in some contexts, this could be regulations are brought in about the use of AI and the, I would love this. Because AI costs so much to produce the energy, we all have to get our heads around this. This is why your utility bills are going up because you're paying for their playground of AI. So there could be some regulations come in. We've got the two and three of wands. See how similar these cards are? The world in his hands, this guy looking out over the water, going, where else can I put my money? Very, very, very similar. They're floating their boats out to make sure they get their boats back in over the water, symbolically, meaning outside of the US. Because it'd only take a radical devaluation of the US dollar and they would lose money. Obviously, it would impact the whole world, but that's not what they're thinking about. It's like, it's all about me. Okay. Now, this is my main question for today. We've been talking probably for 3 years or 9 years even about MAGA and where's it going, and now more recently, are they breaking up? It's not so much I think they're breaking up, but they're splintering off. You know, a family here, one part of a couple there, the younger kids turning away from MAGA parents, MAGA kids outgrowing it, things like that. I think it's a mix of things. But the real thing, the thing that matters, is how he's treating them. So I'm sure you saw where he was saying that basically Snap was just given out like candy under Joe Biden, and most people don't need it. And, so it's not a problem. And this is what I was saying on the last video to everyone, the sociology of it is that this is systemic. It doesn't matter how hard working you are, you're not going to get the rewards for that hard work if the economy's out of control, the value of your house goes down, etc. Car repossessions are a very reliable first indicator of things on the turn, and apparently car loan forfeitures are through the roof. But on the upside, people are helping each other in ways that probably you guys haven't seen for a long while. And I think the future is exactly that. Once people realize this is core for MAGA, I'll just have my digression first and then we'll get into what this is about. Until you realize you're in the same boat as others, can you make it? If everyone's convinced they're in their own boat and it's only black welfare queens who are siphoning off all this money, This is coming out of the mouths of people who are actual recipients. So the brain fog is so complete, they actually have no idea about their own situation. That's the denial and the hate. And the GOP's been grooming them for decades, and Trump for the last 10 years has been reinforcing that. It's brown people's fault, it's black people's fault, it's women's fault. Get back in that kitchen. They'll be saying that next. That's why people are going hungry because women work and they're not there cooking. I mean, they'll say any shit at all. I mean, okay, so let's just ask, how are MAGA feeling right now? How are they feeling in relation to the daddy? How are they feeling? Huh. Oh, look, it's like a storybook. Like a storybook. Hmm. I should take a snapshot of this for students. It's so classic. Okay. We should get used to this card, the Two of Swords, America at the crossroads. And there's still time. I passionately believe that. In fact, I think America can come out better after all this. Okay, so this is MAGA. They used to only be one way. Now they're going, It used to be, so he gave them identity. The sun is about your primary identity and making you feel good. So even if three family members had fentanyl addictions, and even if you couldn't afford to put tires on your truck before, and even if you the third generation unemployed in the Rust Belt or whatever, he made them feel good. And they celebrated that. I loved it, loved it. But look now, Five of Swords. And a quick reminder, these people have all been together in a fight. The three figures have all been together in a fight, right? And they've won the battle. But this guy was so ruthless and so barbaric. These other two are walking away from him. They're letting him have the spoils and going, nah, because he was too much. Just saying. What else are they feeling? Out in the literal cold. And I think, yeah, I mean, what it is the question's shifting because it's instead of them thinking MAGA's great to MAGA might not be perfect, they're yet to realize they haven't got to this next step yet. He has left them. He doesn't need MAGA anymore. He doesn't need them. He's used to rigging elections. He's used to getting his own way. He surrounds himself with yes people. He will manipulate the entire world because of the power vested in the United States president, while at the same time tramping mud all over that position. But the point is, he's left them, and they've got to catch up with that. I also want to draw your attention to this window here too. I think it's symbolic in a couple of ways. This is the time for churches to step up and step in, and I'm always here to bat for the progressive churches and temples and mosques who are helping feed the people. That is the true light, not the prosperity gospel, mad, lecherous reverends in the backwoods. No. Mhm. Okay, guys, so let me pull a couple of cards for you now. And I don't know if you've caught up with this. Elon and NASA are intending to do another moon landing before the end of 2026. They obviously want to pull the cosmonaut out of the hat for the midterms or something. But what a waste of money. We've polluted this planet. Please don't go anywhere else. And Elon thinks that's a stepping stone to Mars. I think go there, Elon. Look, go for it, hun. I said, love. I said, pet. Off you go. You could live in your own little sanitized bubble and you could produce IVF babies back on Earth. No problems. The sperm donor. Oh, and I've got a quote from Charlie Angus before I go too. Don't let me forget. And thanks for all the comments about little codes people have always used when they're in repressive regimes. There's great stories out there. I love it. Now, this is for you guys. Just the next few days. Just the next few days. That's it. Yeah, you're dealing with that, right? That's the shutdown. That's the tariffs. That's all of it because it impacts nice people as well as nasty people, right? The difference is you guys are walking away from it. Same vibe. Look at this. It's like we've all got to be prepared for this dramatic change because most people are not that comfortable with change. Most people like things to stay how they are, but they're not staying how they are. And you know what? I also think this is about the GOP and these election results. They would have thought, oh, look, they could pull this off in New Jersey. Oh, this one and that one. But this has blown the fiction out of the water. I'm loving this. Now, for you guys personally, you might not be happy with what you're saying. Well, of course, you shouldn't be happy with what you're being offered, which is crumbs, with Snap being stuff. This is about watching your money, right? And not being too tempted. People are holding on to money and then it gets a chance to grow again. But it's not right now. There's an emotional offer here on the table, and it could be, well, with different people in the viewership, it'll be different issues. But this is about our values as well as money. So this is about holding on to your values. This is like being tempted by something, but not wanting it. So if you feel there's a quick and dirty solution that gets offered for something, I'm talking in your personal lives, you may not be so keen on it. What needs to happen, and I want everyone to benefit from this, it's the card of compromise, but it's also the card of charity. So I say two things here. If you are in genuine need, right, and I know people, even here in Australia, pensioners who'll actually miss a meal or something so they can buy cat food or dog food, okay? Because that's how we are with our animals. If you are in need, don't feel any shame or reservation about speaking up. And I know there's lots of you, because I've seen it in the comments, who you might not have money to burn, but you're not going hungry and you are donating actual food to food banks or donating your time. This is about reciprocity. Right? So this is people pulling together in this case, right? But let me share the immortal words of Charlie Angus. Now he's running Midas Canada now and doing a great job. And I think Canada is very fortunate at this point of time of history. First of all, when all of this kicked off, Trudeau was on his way out the door, but was able to go and negotiate with the EU in French at a very high level. And that really reminded Europe, Canada's not just over there, etc., etc. That was excellent. Carney, under other circumstances, I might find Carney a touch boring as an economics guy. So what's needed at this critical time? And then you've got Charlie Angus, who's the heart and the passion. And he said, "We will kick at the darkness till it bleeds light." Let me just say that again. We will kick at the darkness until it bleeds light. Go, Charlie Angus. Bless him. I love that. Love that. All right, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Bye.